And the chief whip of the Senate, Ali Ndume, says that the presidential yacht has already been delivered but not paid for. He disclosed this earlier on the morning show.
The issue of presidential yachts, let me clearly say it, is not the initiative of the government of President Tinubu. It was already in the budget, or 2023 budget, as of Navy. And when they came for the budget defense, we saw that amount, we queried it actually, and the clarification we got from them is that this is like a committed cost that they need to pay, because most of these products that you see or items that you find in the budget are dollar-based, while our budget is in naira. And that's why you see the prices of things or even the budget escalating, because the rate of the exchange rate has gone up from the estimated 750, now it's about 800. So you can see the difference. I mean, 435, well, the budget was predicated on 435 or thereabout. But now it's about 800 and something, even at the bank rate. So when we asked those questions, the Navy provided explanation, especially clarifying that this is not a new item, so to say, because I know that the president, by his nature, is not a luxurious person, so I don't think he will go for that. But anyway, we felt that at this time, that 5 billion going for that is inadequate. And in the House of Rep, they felt this, different, and they felt that that should completely be removed and added to the 5 billion that is provided for 5.6, I think, for the student loan, which is one of the critical things in the supplementary budget. And as you rightly said, we are harmonizing on that. And the Navy also believes that that is not their area of priority. But the thing is, because you have a committed cost and it has foreign exchange implication, and they felt that the commitment has to be met, especially when I understand that the presidential yacht has already been delivered. The deal has been signed, but signed and delivered, but not paid.
All right, Arise News analyst Dr. Sam Amadi joins us now for more on this. Signed, sealed, delivered, but not paid for. That's the explanation that we're getting, not only from the Senate. The Navy too has actually weighed in at some point on the issue. Let's still stay on this issue of a presidential yacht. How satisfactory is the explanation that you've been hearing so far?
I think what is clear is that this wasn't this government's introduction to the budget. Of course, the way government works, there's also a lag between budgeting and project identification and approval. So if you approve project today, it might come to the next budget cycle. So it's possible that it was approved to the purchase before this government came in. Now, what is clear also is that I think his explanation looks reasonable and believable. But the point is that the House did the right thing to say, look, all government purchases, even those are pre-approved, need to be reviewed in the context of what we're going through. If you're going to force workers, other citizens, to go through these very terrible times, it requires that even purchases that are reasonable in ordinary times should be unreasonable and grossly so. So
even when it's for defense and security?
This has no practical... You see, the defense architecture is a large... I give an example. When I was a consultant to the House Committee on Procurement, okay? Someone will come and tell you, oh, buying computer for Minister of Justice is security. No. You look at the component, there are standard things. Yacht is a yacht, okay? This is for movement. So it's not like if you don't buy it, you compromise security. And the Navy says it's not priority. So there are certain things we should get a handle on. Not everything that's done by Minister of Defense is security sensitive. They have offices, they have chairs, they have computers that are standard wear. And that's why people say, oh, don't go through rigorous procurement. No. In the US, when, in a particular case, when the Vice President Chine himself argued with Office of Budget and Accountability and said, look, defense said no. The court says no. Defense says, for example, if I'm buying a software for bomb, for detection, for anti-missile, those are securitized. But that you are procuring standard something that the manufacturer, cars, for example, don't have SUVs. Those are common things. So the point here is we need to have real frugality.
All right.
And I think the House is right, and I think this is not about the president or not. This is about the fact that probably that money should go to education, which is really a driver of development.
And you say the House is right, but again, from what we're hearing, it looks as if it's almost already a done deal for the Senate. Frugality, yes, we must be very mindful of the times.
That's a consideration.
Yes, yeah, I think you're spot on that. Right. But at this point, so that we can actually move to another very important issue, what can a country do, knowing full well that you have a yacht that has been given to Nigeria, seem to be credit-worthy nation because it's not been paid for. Yeah. How does this work?
Well, it depends on the contract you have. I mean, some people say sealed delivered might be that we agreed to buy. There could be ouster clauses, there could be opt-out clauses. So you have to look at it carefully. I say, okay, if we already committed ourselves as we normally do with bad contracts, then we are stuck. We can defer payment. We can say, okay, fine, even if we're going to have it, because of where we are right now, we could defer payment with no escalator in terms of interest. So it's about the contract. But the point I'm making, as a matter of principle, people are right to say, what? Just like the 1.6 billion cars and other people can say, what? You see, the point about people in government is, look, I see the National Assembly defend their dissent. There's something called sacrificial leadership. And it's not about these are too much luxury for you guys. It's that at this point, if citizens are moving from 180 naira per litre to 700 or 600 and something, if dollar is moving that way with all the inflationary pressure, about 26% now, you then mean that that's something government need to signal.
All right, speaking of sacrificial leadership, as you put it, let's talk about the ministerial retreat and the messaging, coming from President Tinubu there. It says, look, we need to change the narrative about Nigeria. If we're going to talk, let's talk, to one another about, one country. And of course, there was the signing of a bond of understanding with the minister saying, look, if you don't perform, hey, shape up or ship out. What do you make of what you're hearing so far from the president? How inspiring.
I would be very glad to say, oh, hooray, we got it, but this is just a joke. Let me tell you why.
Why do you say so?
Yes, I'll tell you why. Simple. Presidential government is the president is the chief executive, okay? It doesn't need to sign any bond with anybody. Now, that's number one. Jonathan did it, Buhari did those bonds, and you see, what is this bond? It's like, okay, I will deliver X, Y, Z. Two, the retreat is a nice thing, but look, if you understand presidential governance, it's the president and that small team that has the mandate and also the program for development. You're not going to bring ministers and begin to debate government policy. That's what I've been saying. The office of the monitor should be like a domestic policy office that creates that policy. See, you don't come, you hire people, you set up a company, and then you're sitting with them to think out each sector what to do. What I think we've done with this kind of things we do all the time is maybe the only value is alignment. Okay, let's assume it's rigorous, so people understand government policy and get aligned. But what determines performance? Three things. One, political will. The president is minded on development. Development is an agenda. Development is a commitment. That commitment shows in what you forego. So you forego a lot of things, these luxuries, cut off this, cut off that, sack people. Very important. Early hirings are critical. Who you have as the policy minders, it's not the ministers who will really create a policy for the government. They are going to implement. And so those minders are the key. And the third thing that matters is also on-the-ground tactical arrangement. What then are the factors you're going to put in on the ground to drive it? So yes, we have a retreat, but if you go home and say, oh, we've signed up an agreement, if you don't have the competence to really interpret government policy, you're not going to drive it. So I would like President Tinubu to go back and look at this smaller team again and say, okay, I didn't hear the philosophy of government. If you look at Tinubu's manifesto, they are governing far away from their manifesto. The manifesto is reasonably solid and good from my own perspective. But the way government is working, I don't see that. You see, development is coherence, consistency, and rigor. So this kind of retreat, they've done it before, like you observed, do the interview, they've done it before. They keep doing it, but the key driver here would be how government develops its policy by those people who are responsible and how they execute it.
I think we need to go. I know you also give talks to such, but again, that's just a report. It's a 3-day event. So
I know,
perhaps they must have actually touched on some of the things you highlighted.
Take back the
document
of government
absolutely.
And drive it irrespective of conferences or seminars.
Dr. Sam Amadi, always a delight having you. Thank you for your time.